Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. That's right, I homeschool. My name is Mrs. T. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into our homeschool curriculum picks for kindergarten French. I am so excited. This is probably the subject I'm most looking forward to teaching in this upcoming school year, and I'm just looking forward to it. I put so much thought and effort into creating an amazing French school year. So before we go further, I will link two videos in the description for your information. One is our original kindergarten curriculum pick video, which shows everything. So this does highlight a lot of the content we're talking about in here. And the second one here is a deep dive, like a flip through and a display of what is in the main program here that we're talking about in this video. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. I feel like there are really, at this age, there are two main components to have a successful year when you're learning a secondary language. The first is just exposure. Listening practice is absolutely key, and the more that you expose your child to the language, I think the more successful they will be to be able to pick up the sounds and emulate the sounds, but then also that comprehension is just going to really increase with the more exposure that you give them. And then the second thing is verbal practice. I really want my child to be comfortable with verbalizing in French. Now, currently, he is at the point in French where he does what I call French babble. So he is emulating French sounds and pretending he is speaking French, but he's not really at the point yet where he is independently speaking French with anything that we've covered so far. And we've done it very lightly at home, just basic things. So this is the first time that we're really diving into a curriculum. And then there's also a writing component, but my child is still very young, so we're just going to do that very lightly, but writing in a secondary language is going to be key as well, and reading, but we're just not there yet. So we're going to focus mainly on listening and the verbal. So let's start with our main curriculum here. We are using a program called Les Lustiques. This is a French immersion program, which means me as the teacher, I will be teaching it in French. And there are quite a few components to this program, from different resources, student books, and activity guides. And there's also a listening component that we've kind of started a little bit, that just kind of practicing, that will go along with this program as well. This resource is meant to prepare your child for the DELF or the DELF, a 1.1 level, which basically is like a fluency in French. So the idea here is that your child from the very beginning is going to be listening a lot, verbalizing a lot, and it's very interactive. It's less focused. There's definitely a drive on vocabulary, but it's less on just identifying vocabulary and more on just diving in and practicing immediately from the very first lesson, listening to like full sentences, instructions in French, etc. We have two different workbooks that we will work through during the year. This one here, Mon Cahier, is meant for younger levels. It's for kids between the ages of 2 and 3. But again, my child in his current level is here. Like, this is his level. So we're going to be working through this one. And that is a consumable workbook that he will be writing in. And we also have from Samy Julie, this is meant for a little bit older, 3 to 4. We'll work through this a little bit slower. But this one, definitely, me as the teacher, I need to speak French. I will be reading things out. It will pick up vocabulary. It's reading comprehension. There are questions at the bottom. And this is also consumable, comes with things like stickers, and we will be going through this as well. Okay, the next thing that I want to flag that I had talked about in my original video is we are going to be doing song studies. We are actually going to be taking Cocomelon in English and in French, and we are going to be learning a bunch of vocabulary through song through the Cocomelon French channel. So I have picked a total of 18 songs that we are going to go through. So we'll be focusing on one song for the duration of 2 weeks. And our goal is to do a song study portion just 2 days a week. So really it's 4 days total that we're focusing on one song. And I forgot to mention, the Les Lustiques is something that we're going to be targeting 3 to 4 days a week. Okay. Now let's talk about daily vocabulary. I wanted my child to have a little bit of writing practice and also just additional exposure. So I have this book here. This is French for Everyone Junior. It's 5 words a day. And the idea here, I think it covers like 50 weeks, 52 weeks, something like that. I guess it makes sense if it's meant to be a year. It's meant to be a year, so 52 weeks of vocabulary, basically. So we will do a word of the day. And what I'm gonna have him do is I bought this primary composition book here. So I will write it down for him and he will repeat writing the vocabulary. So this will be a little bit of writing practice, and then he's going to draw what the word is. So for example, the very first one is or one. So he will write down just UN, that's how you spell it. So he's gonna write down the word a couple of times, and then he's going to draw a picture of a one, and that will be his vocabulary for the day. And I want us to do that very minimally every day of the week if possible. And this will be his book of vocabulary. So then we can go through it eventually and we will be able to see all of the vocabulary that we've picked up in the year. And I think that that will be really nice. Now, whenever learning a new language, again, practice, practice, practice is key. So I am going to be doing flashcards. I basically have created the first 2 units worth of flashcards. So you can see it's a decent amount for 1 unit. So this is unit 1, lesson 1. And this is going to include the flashcards from Les Loustiques, the vocabulary from there. It is going to include the vocabulary from our song studies that we should be doing in the duration of this time, as well as some vocabulary that came from Samuel Julie. So we are going to kind of do this practice in the words of the day. So we are going to kind of do this practice where we are doing flashcards most days. We won't cover it all. It's going to be a timed activity. And kind of like how All About Reading does it, is we are going to have him do the practice the vocabulary until he masters it. And then that will go into a new pile and we will revisit the master terminology and vocabulary down the road. But basically, we're going to be practicing pretty frequently and just making our way through until he masters some of the phrases and vocabulary that we're covering in these programs. Now let's talk a little bit about listening practice. In addition to the practice that's tied to our curriculum, we have a book here that I absolutely love. We have made our way through this a few times, but it's called Un, Deux, Trois. I got it from, I think, Thrift Books or Book Outlet. I think Book Outlet. And it comes with a CD. And in the CD, it's like a collection of French poetry, but the way that they do it is really awesome. So they listen or they read out loud the poem. So here's an example. This one's about apples. They will read through the poem like a bunch of times. So that way you and your child can actually start reciting it with them. And it comes with the actual picture. So you're able to go through and be like, une pomme verte, une pomme rouge, une pomme d'or. And you can kind of work on that comprehension and that verbal and listening at the same time through very beginning basic poetry. So we are going to continue adding this into our French exposure. The next collection of things that I have for, again, listening exposure is from Language Together. We have set 1 and set 2 from their French for Kids. So these are little itty bitty books that come with very basic sentences and online audio. And these will be things that we are going to just focus on, like 1 book a day. And I'm just going to let him choose and select. And that is actually going to be part of our nighttime routine. We were doing that for a long time where we would do our books and then we would do 1 French book. And we're going to kind of pull that back in at the school year. So we are going to be starting that again more cyclically and working our way through those books. Just again, exposure, exposure, exposure. Now, additional books, we have a couple of sets. We have this set here from Samuel Julie. You'll notice a theme here. We've got a couple of recurring characters, and this is a set of 30 books. I have the first 2 here, and these are meant for early reading in French. So we will actually visit these again as he gets older. So right now we're going to exposure for him listening, but as he gets older, this is what he's going to learn how to read French in. These are like their early phonics readers. And they give hints and clues into like silent words or when there's like a change in the sound. So these are really nice. These are very fast reads and very basic. They're targeted for younger French speaking children to learn how to read. So I'm really excited for us to use that. Now, Larousse has another set. We have 12 of the books here. This is the same kind of level, same deal here. Very early level, and we will go through these as well, just practicing exposure. And then the last kind of thing that I wanted to note here is we have Le Petit Prince in audiobook. So this book is actually very short. It's only a little over 2 hours. And what I'm hoping for us to do is just have this going on in the background first. So we're going to start with just, again, exposure to hearing French spoken. We're not going to really focus on that comprehension. But what's really nice about this particular book is it's one, very short, but they also have, kind of see in here, the chapters are only a couple of minutes. So the very first chapter is 5.5 minutes. The one after that is 3 minutes and 5 seconds, 4 minutes and 38 seconds, so on and so forth. So what we want to do is after we get a little bit of exposure, I am actually going to buy Le Petit Prince in French, and I'll probably get an English copy as well, so we can kind of do a comparison down the road. But I'm going to take that single chapter and I'm going to extract some vocabulary, some phrases, things like that, and I'm going to challenge. It's going to be a listening challenge. So we will listen to 3 minutes, and I'm going to get like a bell on the table, and I'm going to tell them, this is what you're looking for. You're listening for prince. Every time you hear the word prince, I want you to ding your bell. So we're gonna like kind of do this targeted where he's trying to extract vocabulary. Again, we're not trying to have him fully understand this book, but just exposure to it and picking out in normal speaking different terminology. And we're gonna keep it light and fun as a game, and we're going to tally and see how he does, and it's just going to be additional practice. So that's going to be the book of the year that we are going to do this kind of practice in. I thought it would be perfect just because it's so short and the chapters are really short. And that is it. I'm really, really excited. Again, to make French work, we are doing 5 days a week with these different components. And that is it, you guys. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think, and I will talk to you later. You have a great day. Bye-bye.